Welcome to this follow-on video in which I'm going to discuss NFTs and the preservation of the Peyia Star Catalogue. Of course, the catalogue is defined by a series of light beams heading towards the stars that they describe, and they will have no problem being preserved. They'll last forever probably. But I want to have a look at the way we can look after the star catalogue here on Earth. I've made other videos about the star catalogue, which you'll find links in the description, and they're all about the operation of some of this equipment. And if there's anything you don't understand in this video, you could have a look at those videos, or of course ask in the comments below. I actually finished constructing the catalogue about a month ago, and it has 715 entries, and that is basically all the stars and constellations I can see from here in Cyprus. So that was really good. It took 7 months, it was hard work, but it was really good fun. Now, in the last few days, one reason I'm making this video has become apparent, and that's with the discovery of a fragment of Hipparchus's star catalogue, which was the first scientific star catalogue, which all others are really modelled on. People have been searching for centuries for his catalogue, and it's basically been lost. But just recently, a small part has been discovered about 10 days ago, and I've been really struggling to make this video, and if I had made the video easily first time, I wouldn't have been able to include that, and it really seems to be more than just a coincidence. The parallels between his catalogue and the Peyia Star Catalogue are very interesting, because I'm in my 60s when I made this catalogue, and so was he. He lived in Rhodes, which wasn't very far from here, so it's from more or less the same latitude and place, and also it's the same size. He had maybe a few more than me, but they're basically just under 1,000 or 1,000 or so stars in the catalogues. His work is still known after about 2,000 years, and hopefully this catalogue will be too, which is what the video is all about. And maybe we can make a better job of preserving this catalogue, because his catalogue was lost between civilization, and we can do this in homage to our venerable predecessor Hipparchus. I mean, we assume our civilization will last forever, but it will collapse at some point, hopefully in the distant future. So if the Peyia Star Catalogue is to last in human terms on the Earth, we have to try and make it survive between civilization. So the challenge is to transfer the data of the catalogue between the civilizations, and our civilization is becoming defined by the internet, and we now have blockchain technology which can't be altered and erased. So this is probably the best way we can go forward to preserve the catalogue, certainly for this civilization, and hence the NFTs. Now, the NFTs will be tokens of the ownership of the light beams themselves. I'm not sure what else, because if we're going to preserve the catalogue, we need to make copies, and obviously copyrights and copies don't go together. But we shall see. Maybe even the NFT owners can decide what to do. But I'm also hoping to store at least the code of each entry on the blockchain itself in the smart contract. It depends how the smart contract works out. But that will mean that the star catalogue will be traceable not just through the metadata link, which I think is quite a vulnerable thing. A future archaeologist will be able to track down the catalogue from clues in the smart contract on the blockchain itself. So if you own an NFT, you will own basically an entry in the catalogue, and so it will be in your benefit to preserve your NFT's value With the ownership of an NFT comes the responsibility of preserving the catalogue in that case. If you own an NFT, then you want to see its value preserved and it not being lost. So copies must be made of the catalogue everywhere and anywhere we can to preserve it. In ancient times, copies were made, and the more copies that were made, the more chances there were of survival of all this ancient material that the Greeks and Romans wrote. So we're going to try and do that as a project. The NFT owners and myself will be guardians of the catalogue, and it will be in our interest to preserve the catalogue as something worth doing. It is the project. There'll be a folder with all the data, appropriate data of the catalogue, and it'll include the spreadsheet, the GIFs, the PDF certificates, a copy of the smart contract, these explanatory videos, and then if it's a file or folder held by an NFT owner, the NFT owner can add to it, which will make it more interesting. Anybody can add anything to a folder of files, so that'll be interesting to see where that takes us. There will be a video all about the actual nitty-gritty of the NFTs when I get the smart contract written and some of the NFTs actually minted. I'm a bit sceptical that NFTs and the blockchain will be literally around forever, but they will be around for as long as our civilization, and presumably that's as long as the power stays on. So that's why the smart contract is in the file, so that if the next civilization starts the blockchain and the internet back up, it can be restored. So I wonder whether anybody else has thought about this stuff. I assume so. Okay, so what can we do to preserve the Peyia Star Catalogue? We've already talked about the NFTs, which is about as good as you can get. There'll be the metadata of the NFTs, which will be mainly the GIFs, and they'll be on a IPFS, a distributed file storage system. The cloud storage, such as Google Drive, AWS and things like that, they're a good thing, because obviously I don't think they're going to go down very easily. So if each NFT owner, if each guardian makes a folder of the files available to anybody to download on their own accounts in cloud storage, that will be really good. Then it will be propagated. I have had a look, there are some special optical DVDs which claim 1,000 years of data integrity. I'm going to have a look at those, but of course they can be physically lost. I've also seen ceramic tiles are being used, but I don't quite know how that would be easily done. And then an interesting possibility is inhuman memory, passed down between generations. I can't see people actually taking the trouble to learn the catalogue and remember it, but if the memory is there, in a way it's survived, and that's a way of piggybacking on DNA, which is preserved by humans reproducing, and obviously memories degrade, but they're always readable. The more and diverse copies that are made, the more chance of survival, as we said. So ultimately, it's going to be a combination of good storage, NFTs, and passing data between human generations and civilizations ultimately. But I suppose I'm never going to find out whether that's true. But of course, it's up there in the sky. The stars are up there and the light beams are up there. So they're always going to be there, and the catalogue can be remade from the stars. So in a way, the catalogue is pretty well preserved already. The catalogue has been completed now from Cyprus. There may be a Southern Star supplement, but that will be a completely different project. And then in homage to Hipparchus and his catalogue, we are going to try and preserve this catalogue. I'm going to create NFTs of each entry in the catalogue, and then the NFT owners of those entries will be guardians of the catalogue, and hopefully they will preserve the catalogue with files and all the ways we've discussed. So now I am going to go on to our little bonus section. Somewhere here. Right, now a point I've pondered over for a few years once I've sent light beams is that once the light beam is sent, the information can't be read or retrieved. I mean, in the Star Catalogue, the Peyia Star Catalogue, I've made a recording of each time a light beam is sent, and they are the gifts. But normally you couldn't go and read the light beam that it's been sent. So it's an interesting thing. It's a kind of a write-only memory in which you write the memory and then you can't read it. But also that's a bit of a contradiction in terms, because the definition of a memory is something that can be recalled. But it's a point worth exploring because it does have some interesting angles and examples. I mean, all memory is readable only from the perspective of the reader. So if you've got files on a memory stick and you don't have a computer or the software, you can't read those files. So the memory's been written and it can't be readable. And also, when NFTs are burned, they're written to another address, and they can't be accessed, but they're there on the blockchain, they can't be destroyed, but they can't be read. So that's a kind of write-only memory. So, you know, it's ironic that the light beam can't be read, but it's completely invulnerable, but it's completely unreadable, which is a kind of ironic philosophical point for you. And then finally, all the data you've written in your life becomes write-only after you're dead, because once you're not here, you're not there to read it, which is a bit of a morbid point, but it's all about really making inscriptions. I mean, do we need to read the things that we do? We would like people to read things. There's a project called the Future Library in Norway where people are writing literature and storing it in the library, and no one can read it for 100 years, so you're writing that memory. But as I've said, the act of writing, the creation, the inscription, is an end in itself. Maybe it doesn't have to be read, maybe it's the act of writing, maybe it's something that we need to do as art. You know, why do we do art? But as with most YouTube videos, they're not going to be read, and at least I'll have 2 views for this video. But maybe when you make a video, you should make it for the video's sake, not for the hope that you're going to get millions of hits. So on that rather philosophical point, I'll leave you to ponder, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you.